Hello students, hope you all are doing great. I'm Achal Chaudhary working as an assistant professor, BBA department in St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management. So students, I'm back with my online lecture series of company accounts. So students, it's your lecture number 5 from unit 3 and it's your last lecture from unit 3. Today we will be covering all the remaining topics. So in previous lecture, you have studied about the accounting standard number 15 and 17 in detail. And today we will be covering accounting standard number 18 and 29 and liquidation of a company accounts. So we will be discussing all of these three topics in detail. So let us start with today's topic. Accounting standard 18. It states regarding the related party disclosure. So first of all, question arises, what is a related party? Who is a related party here? If any at any time during the year, one party has the ability to control the other party or exercise significant influence over the other party in making financial and or operating decisions, which means when a party is indirectly involved in the financial and operating decisions, when they have a indirect control of the other party, or you can say when they are having a indirect influence over the decision making process, then it is known as the related party. Related party relationship to which AS 18 applies. What all our relationships exist under this act? So first, enterprises that directly or indirectly through intermediaries control the reporting enterprise. When a person or enterprise is having a indirect or direct control on the reporting enterprise. Second, associates and joint ventures of the reporting enterprise and the investing party or venture in respect of which reporting enterprise is an associate or a joint venture. When a joint venture enterprise is having some sort of influence on the investing party, then it will be considered under a related party. Third is individuals own directly or indirectly an interest in the voting power of the reporting enterprise and relatives of such individual. So when a person is having a direct or indirectly interest in the voting power, that will be considered under it. Fourth is your key management personnel and relatives of such personnel. In fourth point, it states when a key management personnel or any kind of relatives related to that management personnel, that will be considered as a related party. And fifth is enterprises over which any person described in third and fourth above is able to exercise significant influence. So here basically students, what does it mean? यहाँ पर direct or indirectly it matters that you are having some sort of control, you are having some sort of interest in the enterprise, or when you are able to influence some decisions, then you will be considered as a related party. So under AS 18, what all disclosures are allowed? So here are the disclosures. The name of the transacting related party, the name of that party which is directly or indirectly have some influence. Second, description of the relationship between the parties. So it is very important to mention the relationship between the parties, whether they are related to the whether they are the related parties or not. Description of the nature of transaction. What kind of transaction is going on? Fourth is volume of the transaction. Whether it's a it involves a huge amount, or it involves some kind of major decision making. So what kind of transaction volume is there? any other information for better understanding. To understand better regarding the related parties, so other information is required, if there is any kind of other information is there available. And last is outstanding amounts of related party. So if there is kind of outstanding amount from the related party, so it should be mentioned. Next is your accounting standard 29. It is related to the provisions, contingent liabilities, and contingent assets. So first of all, it is very important to understand about these terms. What does these terms means? So students, here are some important terms related to the AS 29. First of all, let us understand about the liabilities. So it may be defined as the obligation for which the company organization has to pay for. Basically liabilities क्या होती हैं? Liabilities is a kind of obligation, means you have taken the benefit of some kind of services, but you haven't paid any amount yet, but you have to pay the amount, so that will be your liability. It's a kind of obligation for you. And meaning of contingent means doubtful happening, means you are not sure about any kind of happening, but you are having some sort of doubt based on your past experience or based on the past transactions. So you are in a doubt that it can be happen or maybe it will not happen. So here contingent liabilities means a possible obligation that arises from past events and the existence of which will be confirmed only by the occurrence or non-occurrence of one or more uncertain future events which are not completely within the control of the company. So here students, first you have to understand that you are just guessing something on the base of the past events. So here the occurrence or non-occurrence is not confirmed yet, and you are not having sort of control over it. For example, if there is a in an organization there are doubtful debts, you are not sure about those doubtful debts. आपको नहीं पता that a person can pay you the amount or not, but you know that that person is having some sort of financial crisis. So here you are just guessing the thing that maybe he is going through the financial crisis, so maybe he is not able to pay the debt amount. So that will be your contingent liabilities. Then, in normal terms, contingent liabilities means liabilities for the amounts which may or may not happen and it is still under doubtfulness. Means ऐसी कोई liabilities जो आपकी अभी आपको पता ही नहीं है that it can be happen or maybe not. So it's under the doubtfulness. You are having some sort of doubt. You are not sure about that particular transaction. So it is your contingent liabilities. And contingent assets, in the same way contingent assets, when you are not sure about any occurrence or non-occurrence about that event, that it will happen or not, but it is also not in the control of the enterprise. Possible assets that arise from past events, existence of which will be confirmed only on occurrence and non-occurrence of future events. Not confirmed only on occurrence and non-occurrence of future events within the control of the enterprise. So here it is confirmed कि आपकी assets, you are not sure about that particular asset, whether you will receive it or not, whether it will arise or not, but it is not in the control of the enterprise hand. And next is your provisions. So student, provisions here means when you are having a like sort of idea, you are in a doubt, you are not sure yet, but you are having a doubt कि maybe you will have some sort of like expenses, some sort of आपको कोई loss होगा, then you are having some sort of idea related to that transaction which will have an impact on your financial statement. So at that time what you do, you made a provisions for that, to just to ensure that आप अपने आप को capable बना रहे हो, that you can have that loss, but you are not sure about that loss, but it will have a great impact on your financial condition. So for that purpose what you do, you make a provision for that, just to ensure कि अगर आपका कोई लॉस हो भी रहा है in future, then you are like preparing your accounts after considering all those losses. So here provisions should be made when the company has a present obligation as a result of a past event. So as we make a provision for the doubtful debts, because हमें क्या होता है, we are having some sort of idea, we are in a doubt, we are not sure, our debtors didn't say that they are not going to pay us or anything, but we are having some sort of idea, we are in a doubt that it can be happen. So for preparing for that event, for that time, we are just making a provision for that. When it is possible that the outcome of the obligation will be affecting the financial condition when it resurfaces. So provision हम सिर्फ उस condition में बनाते हैं when we are having some sort of idea, we are having a doubt that it will have a great impact on our financial condition. So at that time it is mandatory to make a provision regarding that particular assets or liability. A reliable estimate can be made of the amount of the obligation. So here you consider a reliable estimate because you are not sure about what will be the impact, like how much amount it will involve, but you can estimate regarding the amount. Provisions and contingent liabilities are to shown in the footnote on the balance sheet. So provisions आप footnote में show करते हैं as a extra note in your balance sheet. So students, last topic of the day is liquidation of a company. What does it mean? Basically, liquidation means selling all the assets of the company to pay off the all liabilities of the shareholders of a company. So winding up is the process of dissolving a company. While winding up a company ceases to do business as usual. Its sole purpose is to sell off stock, pay off creditors, and distribute any remaining assets to partners and shareholders. So students, winding up means what? कि आप ये सोच रहे होगे कि मैम कंपनी तो कभी बंद ही नहीं हो सकती है, वो तो मर ही नहीं सकती है. Then winding up means what? So students, whenever we are having some sort of losses, जब company is not able to pay all the losses and when they are not able to pay back to the shareholders, in that situation what they have to do, they have to go for the liquidation, they have to wind up that organization, so that कि जितना आपका लॉस हुआ है, जितना आप बियर कर सकते हो लॉस, उतने ही लॉस बियर करके you are just finishing all the transaction, just finishing all the liabilities by selling off the assets. So this is your winding up process. Types of winding up. Basically, winding up is of two types, compulsory and voluntary. So compulsory winding up is when a company can be legally forced to wind up by the court order. In such case, the company is ordered to appoint a liquidator to manage the sale of assets and distribution of the proceeds to creditors. The court often is triggered by a suit brought by the company's creditor. They are often the first to realize that a company is insolvent because their bills have been remained unpaid. So compulsory winding up is when your creditors are demanding for the winding up of any kind of any company. So what happens, students, कि whenever you are not able to pay the bill, you are not able to pay the amount of creditors, then after some point of time they will start gathering the information regarding the company's current financial position. So once they are sure that a company is not able to pay the amount of their creditors and it's not solvent anymore, then in that case what happened? They just demand a involuntary wind up, sorry, compulsory wind up to the court. They just go to the court and ask for the winding up of that company because they are not able to pay the amount of those creditors. So इसमें ऐसा नहीं है that a single creditor गया and he just start demanding about the winding up. It happens when the major of the creditors and when a like number of creditors are sure about the insolvency of the company, then in that situation they just go to the court and ask for the winding up. And voluntary winding up is a situation when a company itself wants to wind up the organization, when they demands for the winding up. So a company shareholders or partners may trigger a voluntary winding up, usually by the passage of a resolution. All they have to do is just they have to pass a resolution regarding it. If the company is insolvent, the shareholders may trigger a winding up to avoid bankruptcy and, in some cases, personal liability for the company's debt. Even if it is a solvent, the shareholders may feel their objectives have been met and it is a time to cease operations and distribute company's assets. So many times it happens स्टूडेंट्स कि कुछ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एक पर्टिकुलर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के लिए बनाई जाती हैं. दे आर जस्ट एबल टू सर्व द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. कि सपोज किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को हमने सेटअप किया फॉर अ पर्टिकुलर टारगेट कि ये कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल बेस्ड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है. जैसे ही ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पूरा हो जाएगा आफ्टर दैट दैट कंपनी विल themselves will be resolved. So at that time क्या होगा कि that is kind of a voluntary winding up when the creditors feel that their motive, their aim behind that organization is fulfilled. Then at that time what they do, they just pass a resolution for the wind up and the company is just dissolved at that time. So these are the two types and these both of these are has been asked in your examination. Who is a liquidator? A liquidator is a person or entity that liquidates something, generally its assets. When assets are liquidated, they are sold in the open market for cash or other equivalents. The liquidator is generally empowered to act on behalf of the company in various capacities. Basically, what happens, liquidator is appointed during the compulsory winding up. So after passing a special resolution by the court, a liquidator is being appointed. So all the criteria regarding the appointment of liquidator, that is defined by the law. So basically what happens is students कि court क्या करता है, liquidator को appoint करता है, they appoint the liquidator so that किसी भी investor का जो भी interest है, whatever they have invested in an organization, that should not be harmed. Otherwise what will happen, अगर liquidator आपके जान पहचान का होगा, so what will happen, he will just like he will do a favor for you. What he will do, he will not pay the entire amount to the to the shareholders. So उस time पे क्या होगा कि shareholders are will not be sure that whether they have earned a right amount or not. So for that particular thing, to save the interest of all the investors, a court is liable to hire a liquidator so that किसी का भी interest harm नहीं होगा and all the assets will be sold through a legal process. Powers and duties of a company liquidator under section 314. So these are the powers and duties. The company liquidator shall perform functions and discharge of duties that may be determined from time to time. So the main purpose, the main duty of a liquidator is to discharge all the duties, all the liabilities. Second, the company liquidator shall settle the list of contributories. So liquidators should know who all are the contributories of a company, who all have invested in the organization and at what amount. So this list should be settled down with the liquidator. The company liquidator shall call general meetings of the company for the purpose of obtaining the sanction of the company. So company liquidator को what he have to do, he have to regularly call the general meetings regarding the obtaining of their sanction, obtaining their like permission for all the things to discharge all the liabilities. So he should regularly call up the general meetings. The company liquidator shall maintain regular and proper books of account. So this is one of the very important duty of a liquidator, that he should maintain a regular and proper books of accounts, so that if a person feel like, if an investor feel like that he may have done some kind of partiality, he haven't distributed the assets into a in a right manner, in a right ratio, then in that case what will happen, the company liquidator can show off the regular and like proper books of account to them, so that they will feel satisfied that their interest is not being harmed by the investor, sorry, by the liquidator. Liquidator shall prepare quarterly statement of accounts and files, so that a proper record should be maintained, a proper record can be maintained of that liquidation. Liquidator shall pay the debts of the company and shall adjust the rights of the contributories among themselves. So liquidator की ये duty है that he have to adjust and pay off the amount of the contributories. Liquidator shall observe due care and diligence in the discharge of his duty. So he should work with a proper care while discharging his duty. If the company liquidator fails to comply, he shall be punishable with fine which may extend to 10 lakh rupees. So many times it happens that a liquidator can will not work according to the court, according to the proper prescribed manner. ऐसा हो सकता है that company, the company which is going to wind up, they can bribe that liquidator. So in that case, to serve the interest of the shareholders, for the to the serve the interest of the investors, so क्या करती है court have created a very strict law regarding it, that if a liquidator fails to comply all the powers and duties, in that situation they will be punishable up to rupees 10 lakh, so that they will work accordingly and they will discharge all the duties and liabilities with care of their duties and powers, so that they will not like misuse their powers. So for that purpose, the law has created some powers and duties which has been like prescribed under this section, so that किसी का भी interest harm ना हो, and all of them will work accordingly, और winding up process accordingly हो जाए and efficiently, और सभी का जितना भी किसी को assets है, so all the things will be distributed accordingly. So students, that's it from Unit 3. Today here your Unit 3 has been completed, and in next video I will be starting from the Unit 4, and I hope you are clear with all the topics of Unit 3. So here are the questions from Unit 3, today's topic. Question number 1. State the basic features of Accounting Standard 18 and 29 with suitable example. Question number 2. What do you mean by liquidation? What are the powers and duties of a liquidator? So that's it from today's lecture. So here are these two questions. You have to solve these two questions. So if you face any kind of difficulty in from Unit 3, entire unit, So do let me know. I will try to arrange a lesson meeting for you so that we can clear all our doubts from Unit 3. Thank you for your cooperation and interest. Stay tuned for more videos.